Speak version equals 1.0 xmlns equals http://www.w3.org/2001/10/synthesis. XMLNS MSTTS equals https://www.w3.org/2001/MSTTS XML lang equals ENAU. Voice name equals ENAU William Neural. MSTTS expresses style equals cheerful style degree equals 2. The good news is severe weather potential looks pretty low today. If storms develop, they'll likely be more scattered and disorganized. The hodograph shows relatively straight wind profiles without much turning. This suggests multicellular storms rather than supercells if anything develops. Remember, these are the ingredients, not the forecast. Always check the Bureau for official warnings. MSTTS express as a voice, speak,